Welcome learners to Puri Padhai. In this tutorial of the HTML video series, we will learn about HTML forms. HTML forms are used to collect user input. Now what kind of user input? It's like if you visit this website of Gmail, if you want to create an account, this is the kind of user inputs which you have to give, and this is the form which you have to fill. You have to give password, you have to give your date of birth, you have to give your gender, you have to give your phone number, email address and location, and then you can click on next step to submit the entire form. Same way, if you want to log in into the Facebook account, again you have to fill a form of first name, mobile number and new password, male and female, and then you can create an account to submit all the data to the Facebook. So we will also try to create the same form that are there. So we'll go back to the slides and see what are more forms. So forms are basically written in the opening and closing tag, and in between everything form elements are there enclosed. HTML form contains form elements. Form elements are different types of input elements, checkbox, radio buttons, submit buttons and much more. HTML input element. The input element is the most important form element, and the input element has many variations depending upon the type attribute. It could be text, it could be radio, it could be submit. HTML text input. Now this is what we were talking about earlier, that HTML forms require user inputs. And how can we take inputs of the user? By input type text, by writing this syntax: input type double quotes text and close the brackets. Define one line input field for text input. The name attribute specifies the name of an input, or the value attribute specifies the initial value for an input field, and this is an example. So first I will tell you input type, then I will tell you value and name. Let's go back to Notepad++ where we can practically see. So firstly, as I told you, that first I will tell you about the input type, and here you can see form is there, opening and closing tag, and between I have written form element input type text. Now we will save this file. You can save this file anywhere you want. I will be saving this file in a particular folder with the name test44.html extension, and we have saved the file. Now we'll go back, we'll open this file in the Google Chrome web browser, and the file is loading now. Now this is the outcome which we were talking about. Here you can write any name. For example, you can write Puri Padhai, or any name, for example Ram or Shyam or Jackson or any other Hema, Watson, any other name if you want. You can write your name over here. So we'll moving further. What else we can do? We have to give name and value also. So again, going back to Notepad++, now we will be giving name and value. From here you can get that name and value. Copy it, and I will be pasting it over here to save the time. Name, value, and here I have written Ashwani. So you can write any other name, for example Puri Padhai, and this is the name. It just specifies that there has to be some name given to this field. So we can run this code also. Let's see how this code will run up. We'll do Ctrl+S, and let's see. Let's go back to the browser. We'll refresh this page, and here you can see Puri Padhai is already written. You can remove this Puri Padhai, and then you can write any name, Jackson or Krishna or any other name if you want. So this is the way of taking input, and name and value attribute also I have described you. Now we will be going to HTML password input. Generally Facebook and Gmail both ask for password also. So how can we give password? Is by input type password defines a password field. Now this is an example. We'll again go back to the notepad plus plus, and we'll again copy the same thing because the same text we have to write. So already I have written this code in different file, so I will be just pasting it up. Yes, password input type, earlier it was text, now we have given password. Why password? So that when the user enters the password, it should get into encrypted form, means it should not be readable to user. So here also we can write Puri. It should not be visible to the user, it should come in some star or it should come in some bullets. So this is the password input type, name and value we have given. So let's save this file again and go to Google Chrome, refresh, and here you can see this thing which is written in encrypted form in dots or star. This is written Puri, the value which we have given. You can remove this value or you can write any other password if you want to write 23456. Now I am writing 23456, but you cannot see. This happens only when you write input type password. So let's move forward. After seeing input type, so we have known two things, how to take user input and how to take password. Now we will see HTML text area input. The text area element defines a multi-line input field. Example is this: text area name, rows, columns, the cat was playing in the garden. So this is when we'll write this code, there will be a box generated, text box, in which we can write as much as we want, but we will specify the rows and columns, till what rows and till what columns we can write. We'll go to notepad plus plus, and this is that text area I was talking about. I have already written this code, so let's write it in the main area. Now here I have written 8 rows horizontally and 12 columns vertically. We can write over there. This is the proper size which we have specified. Now we can do Control plus S, and then we can go back to Google Chrome, reload this page, and here you can see. Now you can write only 8 rows and 12 columns. So see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 and 12. Now more also you can write, and in the 8 rows and 8 columns it can go on increasing also. It has been specified, but you can increase from anywhere if you want. So this is how things works out. This is basically a text box which is created over here. So this is how the text field is represented. So text area is a place where the whole messages can be written. Specifications we have specified, but it can also increase randomly. Now we will go to HTML radio button inputs. What are HTML radio button inputs? As we have seen in the Facebook, when we were trying to create an account, they were asking in the radio buttons, I think, the gender. So input type radio defines a radio button. This is a way of writing it. Radio buttons let a user select only one of a limited number of choices, and this is the code. So we have radio buttons also with us. I have already written the code. This is the radio button. You can understand this code. So this is the radio button. Input type radio, name, gender. The very first radio button we have created is of gender male, second is of female, and third type some are in the other categories. So it is very important to give the same name and different options. I will save this file and going to Google Chrome, reload this page, and here you can say male, female, or other category if you belong, or female category. So only one option is getting selected. Now why I was specifying that name should be gender only, because if you change the name 1 or if you give the name 2 and then you save this file and execute this file in the Chrome, what you will see is that if you select one, then you can select multiple also. Now you can select all. Here you can see you can select multiple options over here just by making the changes in the name. So don't make the changes in the name, otherwise every option will get selected. And do Control plus S, go back, reload this page, and here you can see now you can select independently one. Now we will move further. Now we will see the HTML checkbox input. Input type checkbox defines a checkbox. Checkbox lets a user select 0 or more options for a limited number of choices, and this is an example. So difference between the checkbox and the radio button we will be seeing now on the practical note. Again, I have written the code for checkbox also already. Just copy this code and we'll save it. And in the checkbox also I have written, you can write any other, not, it's not necessary you should write gender, you can write language, or over here any other name which you want, lang, it has to be the same, yes. HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So the value which I have passed is HTML, CSS and JavaScript over here. Input type checkbox, name, lang, HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Now we'll save this file, and practically now we'll be seeing the difference. Reload this page. Now here you can see we can select all, and also we can deselect it also. This is the major difference between the radio buttons and the checkboxes. Here you can select all, also you can deselect, and in the radio buttons you can select only one you will select and other will disappear. So this is the major difference between the checkbox and the radio button. So whatever you need in whichever place in your website, you can put it. Now we will see HTML select option input. The select element defines a drop down list. Example, this is an example for select option input. Now again we will going back to the Chrome Notepad++, sorry, and this is the select option which we have written. This is the drop down menu, somewhat a drop down menu, acts like a drop down menu only. And here you have to write select name, language, option which will be there in the drop down menu will be these things only selected. Let me remove this, edit this, I'll tell you later what is this. Option in the drop down menu which we will be giving is PHP, JSP and ASP. You might have seen over here, I have made you see, this is the drop down menu, this only we will be going to create. So option we have given PHP, JSP and ASP in the select opening and closing tag, name, language, because these are the programming languages. Now again we will save this file, go to Google Chrome, reload this page, and here you can see this is the drop down menu, similar as to the Gmail. This is the drop down menu. Now here by default PHP is there because the very first language is PHP, but if you want ASP to be visible over here by default, what you can do, you can write selected in option, selected, and now you can do Control plus S, and there now you can see here PHP will not be written, it will be ASP. See, so first option will be ASP. Now this was how we can use the select option for drop down list, and the list normally shows the first items as selected, and you can add a selected attribute to define a predefined option, and the example I have already explained. Now let's see HTML button input. Input type button defines a button, and this is an example. So the buttons which we have is generally after submitting the form. After submitting the form we have to click on a particular button. So how can we create those button? I have already written the code for button also. You have to just simply write input type button and value is equals to click. Just simply write these things, input type button and value is equals to click. Here you do not have to specify name. Control plus S, and you can go to the browser, reload it, and here you can see the click button is there and it's working also. If you click on it, it's working. So this was all about the button input. Now we will see the HTML submit button. After creating a Facebook account, after creating a Gmail account, you have to submit those details to the server. So input type submit defines a button for submitting a form to a form handler. The form handler is typically a server page with a script for processing that input data. So what it's actually all about, see here you can see how after submitting the button things work. So here is the user has submitted all the information in the form, and that all things goes and stored up in the PHP or in the database. PHP and database tutorials also I have made, that will be covering up later. So all after when you have entered the Facebook and Gmail account details, it goes to the Facebook server or Gmail server in their database, and in their database all your information gets stored, and then again you can get that information back. So we'll be going again to the Notepad++ and we'll be creating a button of submit. Now we will be creating a submit button. I have already written the code. Yes, now this is the submit button. Input type submit and value submit. So very simple codes are there which you want to create. You just have to write that. Control+S, go back to the Chrome, reload this page, and then submit button is also over here. So there's one more thing, that if you want to submit is done in a particular page or in a particular PHP database. So currently there is no such database with us, but if you have your database, you can write it over here. Form action contact.php, for example, is your name, or you could be any name which you have given to your database. Then you can go back and reload it, and if you now click on submit, it will not open anything because that file has not been created. So this was all about the HTML forms which we have seen over here. So this is the file handler. The form handler is also specified in the form action attribute, and this is the example for it. So now this was all about the forms in HTML which we have seen till far over here. This is how we have created the form by using the simple HTML language. So hope learners, you would have understood the concept of form and how you can create your own for your own website. So thank you learners. Now we will meet in the next tutorial of this HTML video series. Till then, happy coding.
Your feedback is valuable for all. So please comment, like and share with your friends. Thank you.